This is a text message that caused a car accident that changed my life forever.
Those two words that took just a moment to read gave Will Craig permanent brain damage for the rest of his life. Referred to as DWD by some, or driving while distracted, this is the #1 source of driver inattention on the road currently. I'm sure many of you, myself included, have made the decision to pick up your cell phone, read, or send a text message while driving, without fully thinking of the consequences. However, this behavior can be fatal, and I'm sure whoever is on the other end of that cell phone call or text message would much rather you be safe than answer them immediately. Like I said, in a nationwide insurance poll, it was found that the #1 source of driver inattention currently is cell phone usage. This reduces the amount of activity associated with driving in the brain by 37%. And this also shows that there's a positive correlation between cell phone usage and crashes today. Nearly 75% of drivers say that when they're driving, they often see someone else on their cell phone every time they get in the car. This number is especially high in young adults, especially those ages 16 to 24 who have been driving for less than 10 years. And with that, at least 10% of young adults on the road at every time are on their cell phone while driving. The effects of these poor choices result in 25% of police reported crashes stating that there was a cell phone involved. And also, according to nationwide insurance, people are 4 times more likely to get into an accident in which they would be injured. This is the equivalent to driving with a .08 BAC, which is legally considered drunk driving at that point. It means that you're 18% slower to hit the brakes after seeing brake lights, and you're also 17%, it takes 17% longer to start driving again after braking. According to Live Science, cell phone distraction causes 330,000 injuries in the US every year and 26,000 deaths. Among these deaths include Karen Cordell, 22. She was hit by a 16-year-old who was picking up his cell phone, who had only gotten his license the day before and killed on impact. Another example is Ryan Duffner. He was 2 years old when he was riding in his mother's car, and a teenage driver who was on his cell phone struck their car where he was sitting, and he was also killed on impact. Demetrius McCreary was 5 years old when he was getting off the school bus, and even though the school bus was stopped and they had the stop sign on saying that you couldn't cross either way, someone was on their cell phone and wasn't paying attention in a truck and just didn't notice the stop sign and plowed right into him, and he was also killed on impact. And Kathy and Kimberly Seeger, who were 17-year-old twins, were stopped at a railroad crossing waiting for the train to pass when a 23-year-old who was on their cell phone rear-ended their vehicle without ever even touching the brakes, which pushed them into the train, killing them. My proposition is that no cell phone should be allowed while driving, or any electronic devices in general, including iPods, because I know when I'm driving, I have a jack set up in my car so I can use my iPod, but that's also a big distraction when you're trying to find the song you want and you're trying to drive at the same time. I think that even if you're using a handheld device, it is still somewhat distracting, so I'm kind of torn on whether or not you should be allowed to use those. But I think definitely touching any electronic devices in general has been proven to be detrimental. So I think that's just got to go completely. And it was found that if there were to be a nationwide ban put in place, 82% of drivers who currently talk on their cell phone while driving would stop completely. Places that have bans, there are currently 19 states, according to drivinglaws.org, that have a law against sending text messages while driving or reading them. But there are only 6 states plus Washington, D.C. that have complete cell phone bans, whether it be you can use handheld devices or not, but they have complete bans that you can't touch your cell phone while driving. And currently in Pennsylvania, there's a bill that would ban all handheld electronic devices, which includes iPods, cell phones, and anything to that extent, but excludes GPS systems, or if you're in an emergency situation and have to call the police or someone, you can also use your cell phone then, and you can use hands-free devices. and it was overwhelmingly passed by the House on January 26th of this year, and it's currently in the Senate, who has a few bills on their hands that say similar things. And if this specific bill were to pass, there would be a $50 fine on the driver every time they got caught using a cell phone. Banning the use of cell phones while driving not only protects those who choose to drive while using the cell phone, but also other drivers on the road. With the amount of crashes and deaths that this behavior causes every year, I think that the passage of a national ban would be an easy way to avoid all of the unnecessary injuries and fatalities. Until there is a ban, though, I still encourage you to stop or at least limit your texting and talking on your phone while driving. After all, no text or call is worth losing a life over.